Oh, look at this handsome crew. We got Tyler, we got Connor Allen from 4 for 4, and myself, Holden. Let's talk some more NFL draft. We've been doing this for a while, and Foxy gave out some good picks. Tyler got us on some stuff, and we'll see what Connor thinks about things as well. Smash the like button if you get a second. Tyler, we've been making these bets for a while now, and I just wonder if you're seeing anything on the board at this point.
I do see BetMGM opened up another bet that I want to ask our guy Connor about. It's about the 8th overall pick that the Panthers are going to make. They need to get Bryce Young some weapons, and we can get a plus 850 on T-Mac to go 8th overall on BetMGM. I think that's worth a bet.
Hey, Connor. What do you think?
No, I love the thought there. Yeah, we're looking at plus 850. I think they could go a variety of ways. I think it's kind of like picks, 8, 9, 10 right now are a huge mystery with a bunch of different guys. I think T-Mac could make sense there. Jalen Walker's becoming chalk. I'm not really sure if that's like good chalk or bad chalk. I go back and forth on that. And so generally at this point, we're still like a week and a half out. I kind of like leaning in towards more like the longer shots because things can change in so fast. Like you see a plus 700 bet on like any other field, you're like, oh, there's no chance. That has no chance of winning. That's like a massive 20-point underdog or something like that, crazy of winning. In the NFL draft, like that could easily win if they decide, hey, we want a number 1 wide receiver for Bryce Young instead. So yeah, I don't mind that look at all.
So yeah, I'm just flipping through this. So you think there's still going to be some prices and some bets that we can get in on, is what you're saying. Now, the Travis Hunter thing, we got on that at plus 650. We'll see if Shedeur goes to the Saints. Cam Ward's going number 1. All likelihood Hunter's going 2. Where do you think things start to get a little fishy on this board?
Yeah, I'm not as sold that the Saints are going to take a quarterback. Which is a little bit of a hot take right now, but It's just so if you think about this whole scheme of what happened here, like the Saints have very well known about Derek Carr's injury for at least a couple of weeks, at least a while, a couple of weeks to a month. In my mind, it is shocking that now we're a week out from the draft, week and a half out from the draft, and they're giving up all their leverage by telling the entire league they need a quarterback. Like, to me, I'm like, that's a little weird for something like that to leak. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe it got out, whatever. I don't know. Maybe my tinfoil hat's on here, but I was like, that's a little bit weird for that to happen. But regardless, I think that there was not much. Nick Underhill reported there wasn't much interest from the Saints on quarterbacks in general. Like they weren't all that interested in Shedeur. They were more of a Jackson Dart team from what I heard. Like, are you really going to pick Jackson Dart at 9th overall? Like your team still needs a bunch of other stuff. I think they could go with 2 other long shots that you can actually bet with. I think that Tyler Warren could be in play for them, which sounds crazy after giving Juwan Johnson some money, but he's like, he's a difference-making player. Like they just need to start adding good players to a team that's in some cap trouble and obviously needs a quarterback, but they're not just quarterback away. So I think they might just go BPA and then maybe a 2nd-round pick on a quarterback instead of going there at 9.
About our boy Genty, it looks like the Raiders right now. We did take a little stab at like 500 to 1 on him. Going number 3. It was literally for a cup of coffee. Is Genty going to the Raiders? Is he going to New Orleans? Where's he going?
Yeah, I've played a little bit at 9, a little bit at 10. I think there's some connections with the Saints too with Genty. I think those are the 2 guys I was looking at for the Saints. Genty or Warren, I think both make some amount of sense there. Both long shots. 6, I'm having a tough time because I'm like trying to sell myself out of Genty going 6 to the Raiders more than I am like, I'm trying to find reasons why he shouldn't go there. And it's tough. Yeah. It's tough because there's a lot of the whole Pete Carroll thing. They want to run the ball. They need, their running back room is the worst in the league probably at this point as it stands today. So there are a lot of reasons to think that it makes sense for him to go 6. Now, contrary to that, like they also need a corner. They just released Jack Jones. They have like literally the worst cornerback room in the league. Pete Carroll just drafted Devin Witherspoon his last year in Seattle. But the problem is that the cornerback class this year is kind of weak. Like Will Johnson can play zone. He didn't test in the 40. Like if he tested well, then I think you could have made a case for him. I don't know. So for me, it's like there's not really a good fit. Jalen Walker, I think, could be an option there, but isn't like an awesome fit necessarily for what they have either because they already have good defensive line. Maybe you can play a little bit off ball, but like, are you really doing that? So I go back and forth. Like there's not like another option that I'm like, oh, this makes a ton of sense for the Raiders, if not Genty. That's the problem too. So I go back and forth on that.
You think the Raiders could swap with the Bears and move back to 10 and then still draft Johnson? and let the Bears go up to 6 and draft Gentry. I think that makes a lot of sense.
That's very possible. I think the Bears are an interesting case too, because like I think they'd run to the podium if Gentry was there at 10, but maybe they try and trade up for him. I mean, trading up for a running back seems rough, but like they just don't. I don't know if 10 they're going to really feel a need. Like they're basically drafting like a backup offensive lineman or like maybe a kind of like project edge if you want like Michael Williams or something like that, like or Shamar Stewart. Like these are guys that are like toolsy, but they didn't really produce. So like Gentry makes by far the most year one impact on that team.
Connor Allen, 4 for 4, join us here. Nuke the House NFL show. So Connor, over 2.5 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Is Dart a first round quarterback, or does he fall to the second?
I see the issue with these quarterbacks in this class is like there's obviously Cam Ward going 1, and then Shedur's range is like, I don't know, people are saying like 2 to 24, but like I don't even know if that's true anymore. Now we're looking at like if again, I'm of the belief he doesn't go to the Saints, looking at 10 to 32. I don't know. Does he like I think that the range is so far, it's like when that happens, like things become so volatile. So like there's a market, I think it's like second quarterback taken. I think you could realistically make a case for any of the guys there outside of Shedeur. I'm not really interested in laying it with Shedeur at minus 250. Jackson Dart's 2-1. Jalen Milrose plus 650. I mean, he was like 80-1 2 weeks ago to be second quarterback taken. But I think there's legitimate steam for him to be a first round quarterback too. And I think it's like a pick your flavor type of draft with the quarterbacks. Like certain teams in the late first, early second, some teams like Milroe better, some teams like Jackson Dart better. Other teams are more Shedeur Sanders teams. So I could see legitimately any of them being the second quarterback taken, especially because none of them are like locks to be the top 10 pick anymore.
Just another hypothetical trade I was looking at with the way the board's playing out. We talk about the Saints not wanting to take Sanders at 9. What if they do take a guy like Warren? They have pick 40 in the second round. They could easily be one of the teams that comes back up into the late first round and takes Sanders there to where they get out of the first round with a weapon for him and the quarterback. So I think that's another thing we could see.
Totally. And I think a lot of these teams might be banking on doing something like that. Like that's what it seems like Cleveland is like, by all accounts, Cleveland likes Shedeur Sanders. Like they, you know, everything that I've heard is that they like him. They just are also at the point where they think Travis Hunter is like, you know, a generational or like, you know, a blue chip prospect, and they can't pass up on that for a guy who's like, I mean, Sanders has plenty of flaws in his own right. So like, I think a lot of these teams are legit thinking, all right, we're just going to try and aggressively trade back up from the second round into the first round and like hope that these guys fall a little bit, because I mean, they're going to fall. Like the teams and the teens don't really need a quarterback unless you're like, I mean, one of them surprises like the Cowboys or Dolphins or like just planning for the way future. But that would be kind of surprising because I think they're kind of more in like a win now window for a lot of these teams, even though they're, you know, picking high.
There really going to be any surprises 1 through 5, Connor?
I'm having a tough time seeing it. I know there's some Jalen Walker kind of like steam of like maybe he goes 5th, maybe goes 4th. But right now it seems like Will Campbell will be the pick if Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter aren't there at 4. It seems like Mason Graham is kind of like, I mean, again, penciled in, not, you know, like a pen or anything at 5 for the Jags. That's where I think things get interesting. But yeah, it's like I'm just having a tough time making a case for too much else because it's fit a lot of what these coaches and front offices have said all offseason is like James Gladstone, the Jags GM, was like, we need trenches. We need guys like on the line. He said it like 6 times throughout the offseason. Like, and then who else are you going to draft? Like, I mean, I guess they could take an offensive lineman, but you know, Graham, I think Graham makes a ton of sense there. So.
All right, Connor, give me one bet that's still viable here that we can give our guys. Connor Allen, 4 for 4, by the way. Loved working there. Did a couple of stints at 4 for 4. Amazing betting content, fantasy content, DFS content. Connor does it all. Best bet, buddy.
Yeah, I'm trying to find what the updated price is here. Man, this has moved a lot. I still like it though. I mean, we'll go with over 2.5 running backs in the first round. It's like plus 115. It's moved a decent bit. I think if you can find anything at plus money, I think is a good look. I think we're talking about a better than 50-50 chance here. Gentry is going to be a first round pick, top 10 pick, like borderline lock top 10 pick. Omarion Hampton is routinely mocked to the Broncos at 20. I think that's basically his floor. I think that other teams might be interested in him earlier than that. And then you have the Steelers at 21, the Chargers at 22, all very much in play for Travion Henderson. Daniel Jeremiah came out and said like Travion Henderson's going to go way, way higher than most people think. I mean, The Bears running back coach is super close with Travion Henderson. I mean, that would be a Jahmyr Gibbs-esque pick for Ben Johnson and the Bears, picking him at 10 instead if Genty's off the board. And so I think that Henderson, Hampton, and Genty all go in the first round. You're getting plus money on it right now. So I'm into it.
What was that price? Like 2 to 1, 250?
Yeah, it was 2 to 1 like a week ago, but then everyone gets talking about it. It gets kind of moving a little bit, but like it doesn't mean there's not value still. Like I just got to readjust and think I think it's still viable.
So a lot of things are going to change still before we get things going, and it's imperative you follow the news, and you got to beat the news, basically, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah, beat the news. I mean, look for some of these books don't move as fast. Like some of this running back thing moved on one book, but MGM might be 30 minutes behind, and so like that makes obviously a huge difference.
Connor, thanks, buddy. Always appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on.
You got it. Connor Allen from 4 for 4. Great draft guy. Great guy. Tyler, I thought that was interesting when we're talking about the running backs here, and 3 running backs taken in the first round. What do you think about that?
I mean, I still think there's only going to be 2. Excuse me. Just because the Steelers have so many other needs, I don't see them taking a running back. Mm-hmm. They talk about defensive line help. They need defensive line help in the worst way. They have nothing in the middle. People just run the ball right up the gut against the Steelers.
Yeah.
The Chargers just signed Najee, and let's be honest, he's not the best running back in the league, but he's a guy that can take 200 carries, doesn't get hurt all that often. Do they really need a running back? Like, maybe they just re-signed Dobbins. Green Bay's not taking him. Minnesota's not taking another running back. I doubt Houston does. They need way too much help. The Rams aren't. The Ravens aren't. Detroit's not. Washington would be your other team. Buffalo's not. Kansas City isn't, and neither's Philly.
And then what about
you're banking on Washington taking that running back, basically, in my opinion.
I'll tell you what's fascinating, just looking at the number of quarterbacks selected in the first round. You talk about a line move. Over 2.5 is now minus 475. And you could say, if you think it's 2, you're getting almost 3.5 to 1. You're getting plus 340 if you think only 2 quarterbacks are getting taken in the first round, Tyler.
My biggest worry would be the whole trade. It all depends on where Sanders falls. If Sanders does go 9 to the Saints, mm-hmm. I think you're screwed because someone's going to trade up into the back end of the first and take Dart. It all depends on if Sanders gets to those late 20s. And even then, say Sanders gets to 20, Denver takes Hampton at 20, the Steelers take Sanders at 21. A team could still trade up into those last few picks in the first round and come get Jackson Dart. So I don't rule out the Browns doing it. I don't rule out the Giants doing it either. So I think that you probably get 3 in the end.
Yeah. I mean, again, there's a lot of subterfuge out there. I still think that the Browns could end up taking Shedeur Sanders. I hope it's Travis
Let's be
Hunter.
honest, it's the Browns.
I hope it's Travis Hunter. I mean, again, we got that bet in there. I hope it's Travis Hunter, but you also said Shedeur Sanders. So I guess I'm sitting on 2 tickets. We'll end up profiting no matter what. But yeah, it's the Browns. They need a quarterback. And I just don't understand what the hell they're doing.
I mean, they did sign Joe Flacco. That was the one news we didn't touch on. I know it's an older guy, but we talk about how he finished the year in Cleveland 2 years ago. I mean, they thought they had some magic. Yeah. They could easily just be like, look, can you rekindle some of that magic for us this year? We're going to give you the go, and we're just going to draft other guys around you and give you the best wide receiver prospect in the draft. Could see them going that route.
Shout out to our guys in the chat. Jake's in the house. The Kid. And of course, Stenberg's here too. So we got everybody hanging out with us today. Well, not everybody. We got a few guys hanging out with us today. That's nice. Smash the like button. We'd appreciate that. And then just, any other bets that you've kind of dug up this week that you've found, or are we just sitting where we're sitting and maybe next Monday when we do this show, we'll try and find another bet or two? Because we do want to get ahead of stuff. But at this point, how much stuff are we getting ahead of?
I do like that McMillan bet at pick 8. It just makes sense in my head. Like, yeah, they could go defense, but they need a weapon for Bryce Young. Adam Thielen, Jalen Coker, and these guys, Xavier Legette, they need a 1. They need a true number 1 for him. So I think they go get it, and that's plus 850. Our guy Connor talked about the Saints not taking Shedeur at 9. Well, you can't bet their exact pick on the name, but you can bet their position. If they go tight end, tight end's 12 to 1. If they go corner 7-1. If they back up in the draft too and end up drafting one of these guys later, you still win that bet because they don't have to take him at pick 9. So don't hate either of those either. And the only other thing I was looking at, 4th overall to the Patriots, everyone seems to just pencil in the Michigan lineman.
Yeah.
What if they just take the kid from Oregon State?
I don't know. What if?
He's plus 625. That's the only other thing. Mind you, I don't know what exactly they have on Will Johnson. I know they said his arms are pretty short from the combine. It's New England. Would it surprise us if they take a different guy? They've done it years before. So I could see them taking the kid out of Oregon State over Will Johnson.
All right, cool. Well, listen, we'll do another NFL show next Monday, and then we got the draft. I mean, it's here, dude. What's today's date? The 14th, the 15th already? 14th? 10 days
I got
away?
a fun question for you.
What?
Aaron Rodgers going to sign his contract before or after the draft? I think after.
After. And
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, too. Wherever
I
he
think
goes.
Kirk Cousins might have just lost his only spot he could have started at.
Yeah, well, then he's going to be a backup somewhere. Maybe the Browns should go after him. Let's have Flacco and Cousins.
That was the original plan. Then they signed Flacco. I don't think they take Cousins now.
So dumb. They're just a complete disaster over there. All right, buddy. NBA rundown, 4:00 Eastern, just about every day except for Mondays, correct?
Yeah, not today because there's no games today. We'll be back for the play-ins tomorrow. And then for the playoffs, we'll be live almost every weekday for you.
We will be live Tuesday night for baseball and the playing games. Wednesday night, baseball playing games. Thursday night for baseball. And then we'll have the NBA playoffs. We'll be doing a whole bunch of content for that as well. Hey, thanks everybody for checking us out. Like button on the way out would be much appreciated. And let's go nuke some bets. What do you think about that, Tyler? What do you think about nuking some bets?
Let's do it.